Oh, there you are. Been looking all over for you. It's come to my attention that not many people back home have heard my conversion story. I guess I just assumed everybody was there when it happened, but I'm finding out that they weren't. And so, over the next couple of minutes, I'll take you through my journey in joining the church, and hopefully you'll better understand why I decided to join the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Have a good trip. Growing up, I was Catholic, but I was never really serious about it. I went to Catholic school. I enjoyed being an altar boy, but that's mostly because I liked being around the candles and the incense and things like that. Wearing the robes, I always thought was really fun, and hanging out with your buddies. But I was never really serious about the religion. And as I grew older, I kind of grew away from it. And my mom always wanted me to grow up to be a priest, but I didn't want any part of that. And I think that upset her more than she let on. But as I continued to grow, I kind of grew away from the church, kind of started to feel a little disenfranchised by it, I guess, and kind of started to rebel as much as a good Catholic boy would. And right around the 7th grade, I made some bad choices, and I did some things that ended up getting me expelled. But that was okay. I was homeschooled for a year and ended up kind of just taking the year off of school, really. But then I went to high school, and I wanted a new start. I went to public school instead of Catholic Central, and I went to a school that wasn't in my district, so I had a real fresh start. And I just really tried to fit in, and I tried every group that I could to be a part of. The jocks, I couldn't really play sports. The goths, I wasn't depressed enough yet, I guess. But I kept trying and kind of kept failing, and it turned me, as the Navy would say, into an old salty dog when it came to having friends. And I just decided I didn't need any friends, and just kind of started to do things my own way. And it kind of led me down a path that I wish I hadn't gone on. But for now, I guess you could say my high school years were not the greatest. Until my senior year, when this really cute girl who sat behind me, her name was Katie. She might be watching this right now. She invited me to be in a popularity contest. And I was like, you don't even know my name. Why would you ever have me be in a popularity contest? Nobody knows me in this school. But I did it because she smiled and batted her eyelashes. She probably raised her eyebrows a little bit too. But I did it. And there was a talent portion, and I did a tap dance because I was a competitive tap dancer at one point in my life. And it was really good. The school loved it. And they didn't know what my name was. I'm sure they wrote on the ballot the tap dancing guy and turned it in. But they picked me to win. But the judges picked some other kid to win, so I didn't win. But I got some good friends from there. And then we graduated, and we all went our separate ways, and I was back to having no friends. So in the end, it kind of felt like they didn't even care about me at all, which made me turn pretty bitter. It kind of hurt, and it started to really affect me inside. I started to be really mean and nasty. And, I could sit here and tell you all the ways I was nasty, but I'll show you. Oh, there you are. So, one thing that is prevalent throughout my college life was this, what I call the black hole of nastiness. Basically, any situation I was in, I would take all the good, suck it away, and replace it with nastiness. It led to me losing a lot of the friends that I had gained, and made me quite bitter and nasty. But I could sit here and tell you all about it, but how about we show you? This is me before I joined the church.
Can you guys shut up?
I want you to just like,
Just shut up.
You know, this nastiness led to not so great relationships with my family members. They would ask me to do simple things, and I would retort back with snarkiness, or I would just be rude or mean until they stopped asking me. And it really led to a strained relationship with my family, and especially my mother, even for simple tasks such as doing the dishes.
hey, could you help me with some of these dishes?
You know, I don't really feel like it.
Hey, can you wash this one plate?
No.
Okay. I provide for you. I buy your food. You need to help out a little bit in this family.
You know what? I wish you weren't my mother.
Do them on your own.
There was a time in my life when I became addicted to video games. I would sit all day and play games. I would do nothing else. There was a time when literally I would sleep for 4 hours, go to work for 8, and then play the rest. And on my days off, I was lucky if I even ate a meal because I wouldn't leave my computer. And it became to the point where I stopped caring about the real world and only cared about the digital world, the video world. And it led to some pretty awful interactions with the people that I cared about. But let's just see.
Hey, can we talk?
I'm a little busy at the moment.
I really need to talk to someone. I'm like broke up with me. Are you listening to me?
Alright, look, I already told you he was a dirtbag in the first place. There's no need to date him. I already told you that. Just get out of my room.
Or can you please just talk to me?
I'm busy. Get out.
Well, my life changed one day. I was driving along. I was going home from work. It was about 6 in the morning. I had to drive about 11 miles, and it was all highway. So I was going about 80 miles an hour. I saw a stopped van on the side of the road, but I looked and I didn't see any lights, so I just ignored it. I looked back and I looked down to change the radio, and then I smacked right in the back of them at 80 miles an hour. I thought I was dead, and I should have been, but there was not a scratch on me. So after my crash, I really wanted to be a better person, but I just didn't know how. And I knew that I really hated riding the bus 2 hours each way to work. And I knew that my mother lived not 10 minutes from home, or from work, and so I could walk there. And begrudgingly, of course, I knew that I needed to move back in. But the only problem was I didn't think my mom would take me back.
Yes?
Can I move back home?
No.
Why not?
You didn't treat me with respect. You didn't listen to my rules. It's my house, my rules. Goodbye.
You should do it because you're my mother.
Okay.
So my mom, she eventually started talking to the missionaries. She was working with Mormons, I guess you could call them, and she was really sick, and they offered to have the elders come give her a blessing, and she didn't really understand what that was, but she let them in, and she remembered how nice they were when they were bothering me, and so it really made an impact on her. And so she started learning from the elders, and eventually she found herself here, and she was baptized. She invited me to her baptism, but I didn't attend because I was convinced she was joining a cult, which I mocked her for a lot. And that was what really led to me being kicked out of the house. But if I hadn't been kicked out of the house, the rest of this wouldn't have even mattered. Wow, so we find ourselves here again. Yep, I learned my own brother, was being baptized. I couldn't believe it. He was not religious at all. And here I find that he's meeting with the elders and he wants to be baptized. And that really touched me because I didn't ever think of him as a religious type. And he actually really wanted me to investigate the church. So he worked at Burger King, and every time he came home, he'd bring home a big bag of chicken nuggets, like one of those, like the family bags that you put like 6 things in. And one day he came home full of chicken nuggets and threw in the fridge and said, "I'm not eating until Doug decides to take the lessons." And it was that very night that I had really decided that I should take the missionary lessons. And I didn't know that until the day of my baptism when he told me that story. And so, as we see, stories begin and end right here. So my mom started taking me to ward activities. She would take me to these functions like potlucks, chili cook-offs, and while I was there, I would just notice something different about the people in the church. I noticed that they were happier. They had a glow about them, and there's just something different.
Oh, bless me now, my Savior. Hey, buddy. You know, you'd be a lot happier if you got baptized. This is all true.
So, after I've been going to these ward activities, and I had noticed that these people are really different, and everybody looked really happy, and they had this like light about them that I've never seen before. And I wanted that, but I didn't want to join the church. I just wanted to be happy. And I talked to my mom, and she said that I should meet with the missionaries, but I didn't want to meet with the missionaries because missionaries are weird. And so she told me to read the Book of Mormon. And I remember I took it to work with me because I'd read it before, so I was kind of doubting that this was going to help me. And I cracked it open and I started reading. And I got to about 1 Nephi chapter 8, so 8 chapters in, maybe 30 pages. And it was a lot different this time. I just felt my soul filled with light. And I remember it was taking away just a little bit that awfulness that I felt inside. And I didn't understand what I was reading still. I couldn't tell you what had happened, but I could tell you that it made me feel different. And it was doing that because I was looking for it. The first time I'd read it was just to learn about the church. This time I was reading it to help me. And it did just that. But it was still there. It just took a little bit away. So I called my mom and I told her I'd meet with the missionaries, and they called me immediately and we scheduled an appointment. And so they taught me where the Book of Mormon came from and why we needed, why the church needed to be restored. And it was as if a spotlight had been turned on in my head. And my whole body was just filled with light, and my soul just felt, it was at least 10,000 lumens inside my soul. And I had felt so happy. And it was great because this whole time I wasn't looking to join a church, and I wasn't looking to worship a God, but I was looking to be happy. And how I found happiness was through worshiping God and finding His church. I committed to be baptized a month later. The first lesson I had with the missionaries, I wouldn't let my mom sit in on the lesson. I made her stand outside. And we came out, and she's like, "How did it go?" I was like, "It went good." And then the missionaries came out, and she's like, "How did it go?" And they're like, "Oh, he's getting baptized next month." And she laughed. "He can't get baptized. Do you know what you're doing?" And I don't think she doubted that it could happen, but she doubted that, or she just knew what a hard road lay ahead for me. And because I was smoking a lot, I was drinking. I was not living the life I was supposed to live, but because I had felt what I had felt, and because I knew that it could help me, it was easy. I ended up being baptized 20 days later on May 6th, 2012. And when I went down to the water and when I came out, I finally felt everything washed away. All the guilt, all the pain, all the anger was just gone. And it felt like 50 pounds had been taken off my chest. And I just knew right away that I was doing what I was supposed to do. And I've never turned back from that. I'm so grateful that I've had the journey I've had to find this church. And it doesn't matter what you've done, how you're living your life, or how much wrong you think you've done. There's always a way to have that relieved. And that's through the atonement of Jesus Christ. This is his true church. Look at me. If you're watching this and you haven't seen me in a couple years, you probably don't recognize me. And that's good. That makes me happy. And you can have it too. It's here for all of us. And I guess that's my story. Oh, there you are. So, as you can see, my life has changed so much, and all for the better. I don't regret anything, giving up anything, or any of the friends that I lost. I miss you guys, but I'm so happy with my life. I know this church is true, and I know that this can help every one of you. And if anything I've said today has touched you in the heart, ask somebody about it. Talk to somebody. The missionaries are everywhere. They can help you like they helped me.